Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. You know, last week when I reviewed AEW Dynamite, I said Dynamite did way too much and they tried to do too much in their show. And then we come to Monday night, and Raw shows up and they're like, hey, hold my beer. We're going to show you exactly how to do too much in one show. And it's all our own fault. We have nobody to blame but ourselves. And we are going to talk about it all right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's Monday Night Raw review. Let's do it.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
You see, tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw is an example of what happens to a company and to a show when you wait until the week before to finalize your pay-per-view card, to figure out what you're going to do at your pay-per-view, and try to present it to the fans in a meaningful way to make us care. Thus, we get tonight's Monday Night Raw with way too much story to tell, and they weren't shy about it. They didn't shy away from it at all. They said, we are going to load this show with a bunch of microphone stuff that the fans are going to have to sit through so that they can understand what we kind of have in mind for this Sunday's TLC as it pertains to this Raw card, which is not full of much that has my interest at all. The divorce segment started Monday Night Raw, and at first I was like, well, good. At least it's going to start this show so it'll be finished immediately and we can proceed with business, if you want to call it business. But that was only the first of many poop hammer type moments on the night. You guys already knew it was coming. If you're a fan of the show, you know anything involving the almighty milk dud Bobby Lashley, the trash bag Lana and Rusev automatically goes down in the poop hammer category. And do you know why that is? It's not because I don't like Rusev, and it's not even so much that I hate this whole cuck angle that they're running in the WWE right now. It's the fact that the WWE writers handed a piece of paper to this broad Lana that says some things that accuse Rusev of never putting her first and never caring about her and all of this nonsense, when she also recently has said Rusev can't keep his hands off her. All he wants to do is have sex with her. I don't know how that is neglect in any way, but this is also the same Rusev that she's talking about that just not too long ago used to sing the praises of this. I was going to say something really, really bad. I'm glad I pulled back, because it really is not becoming of a gentleman to call women such things. But he used to sing the praises of this dame. Lana is the best. Lana number one. Lana is the best. Lana number one. I used to have nightmares about it. And now apparently none of that happened. And Lana has been neglected by Rusev. A divorce segment. Do you give a shit? Vic Joseph was happy about it. He was like, oh, we're having a divorce tonight. 20 minutes. 20 minutes plus this dragged on. I thought for sure they were going to get in. They were going to do this thing. They were going to get out of it because we had to build TLC. But they didn't do it in an interesting way at all. The rest of the show, there was way too much story to tell. All of the unnecessary story they decided to tell with Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is the best thing on WWE right now. Only WWE and Monday Night Raw can find a way to ruin the biggest babyface in wrestling. He's the one guy on Monday Night Raw everybody wants to cheer, everybody is currently behind. So what do? You oversaturate the show with meaningless, useless segments that do nothing to establish our relationship with Kevin Owens any better than it already is. We don't feel any more for him now than we did last week, up until he got attacked by the AOP during tonight's Monday Night Raw? Did we need to see him walking backstage to get a steel pipe from Rey Mysterio? No. Did we need to see him being confronted by Mojo Rawley just to punch him in the face and bitch him out live on Monday Night Raw? No. We didn't need to see that. Does nobody like Kevin Owens enough to tell them, hey, by the way, we seen AOP. They're over there. You know, or just somebody goes, hey, you know what? Their truck's in the back by the loading dock. Why don't you go see if they're still in the truck? Nobody gives a shit about Kevin Owens. He's walking around all night. Nobody can give this guy any information about where the AOP is. And he's really that dumb? He don't know where the cars are parked? That's not the first place you go? To where the vehicle was? If they were smart about this thing, Monday Night Raw would have opened, Kevin Owens looking for the AOP. AOP's van pulls up in the back. No unnecessary bullshit with Seth Rollins. No arguing with him once again, giving us a repeat of last week's encounter. You just have the AOP show up. They come out of their truck. They say hubba da baba hubba, whatever they have to say in their language, which would be appreciated if we would know what the hell they're saying. But we never do. I mean, at least put up the subtitles. It's a written script, right? So at least put up on the bottom of the screen what it is you want us to think they're saying, at the very least. But instead of all that, you have AOP come out of the truck. You have them standing there. They're not going to come out to the ring. Kevin Owens goes to confront them. He knows immediately where they are. They're in the parking lot. Then he's going to go right to the car. He's going to get him. He's going to bust it up. He don't need Rey Mysterio's pipe. There was a whole bunch of stuff he could have used in and around the loading dock. He could have picked up a bar from anywhere. He could have picked up a sledgehammer, a fire extinguisher, anything. Anything. And done the same exact thing. Bust up the car, maybe do it in a cooler way where windows actually bust out and make it look kind of threatening and not kind of silly, only to have the AOP jumping from behind, the back doors of the van open, and Seth Rollins, the weasel, turns around in the seat and then does the whole hood thing, and then it's like, oh shit, yeah, Seth said it wasn't him, but we all kind of knew it was, and Raw opened up with them confirming this, but that's not what they did. They dragged it on to the midpoint of the show. Having Kevin Owens wandering around. Seth Rollins still claiming that he had nothing to do with it. And how stupid does that make Seth Rollins look? Look at how this turned out for him at the end of the day. When he finally came out to the crowd to address the whole situation after the AOP smashed Kevin Owens' head with a car door and Seth Rollins curb stomped him into oblivion. In the back, on the concrete, Seth Rollins comes out, he addresses the crowd. And he wants to still claim, I had nothing to do with anything that the AOP has been doing over the last couple of weeks. That wasn't by my design. But you people don't want to believe that, so I decided to go find them tonight, and I joined up with the AOP. You're Seth Rollins. You're the guy that beat Brock Lesnar twice. You wanted to tell us that tonight, right? But now you joined the AOP? This wasn't a master plan? This wasn't something that you manipulated and came up with and pulled off? This wasn't a measure of evil genius? This was, well, you know, I tried to be a good guy. You don't like me, so I'm just going to go be a bad guy. And I'm going to join them. He didn't say, I employed these guys. He didn't say, these are my soldiers, my anything. He said, no, I found them. I went to them. I asked the AOP, is what you're telling me. Tell me, after all this, I went to go and ask them to be part of their club. How much of a pussy does that make him look like? How did they even screw this up? You got Kevin Owens. So easy. It's so easy. And you got Seth Rollins, who should have been turned heel immediately after all the shenanigans with Bray Wyatt. But instead you took this long way around, and you even screwed this up. You made it so underwhelming. Did anybody have any sort of a shock or surprise when it happened? No way! You didn't say that. Oh my God! You didn't say that either. Holy shit! I can't believe it! Nobody in the world said that, and that is why WWE fails so miserably at creating quality content for us to ingest. Why couldn't they have fed us the red herring of Seth Rollins and then come up with something else. I certainly did not want to see Shane McMahon involved in this at all, because he's been the main antithesis of Kevin Owens' career over the last year. I don't want to see him involved at all. But at the very least, you could have did something different. Let your creative juices flow. Try something instead of making everything so blatantly obvious. You know, stay within the rules. Oh, wait a minute. Rules. WWE don't give a shit about the rules that they set. That's why we got Sami Zayn, a SmackDown superstar. Sami Zayn showing up on Monday Night Raw tonight under the caveat of he's got a manager's clause. He signed a manager's agreement which lets him float from here to there. So you're telling me that you knew before tonight, Sami Zayn, you knew that Kevin Owens was going to beat up Mojo Rawley tonight. So you said, you know what, let me go to Raw tonight just in case somebody needs a manager. What was all that about? That was the biggest waste of time on the whole night. Plus, it broke all of the rules that they just recently set into place. And what did it accomplish for Sami Zayn? Is he now the new official manager of Mojo Rawley? Not that I give a shit to see that. Nobody wants to see Mojo Rawley in his new purple outfit or saying anything or doing anything. Just another one of the long line of wasted morons on the list of this whole entire roster. The guy's got talent, sure. But he ain't worth 2 dimes. He ain't worth 1 dime. He may not even be worth a cent. Nobody on this roster is worth much anymore. They don't value anybody. And too much time was wasted trying to explain what's coming on Sunday. How many times did we have to see Charlotte Flair and Becky tonight backstage in some sort of a discussion? These things should have been filtered out over the last couple of weeks. You shouldn't have had 2 back-to-back 2-on-1 handicap matches echoing the exact same things that happened just 1 week ago. Burying your tag team champions of the women's division in the process by making them seem incapable of beating one woman. I don't care if that one woman is Charlotte Flair or Becky Lynch, respectively. They are 2 women, both world-class, world champion caliber athletes that should not be struggling to beat one person. But that's what you did, because you have no other reason to come up with a way for these girls to have any competition. You don't have a tag team division for the women, so why you did this, I'll never understand it. You did it just for the splash, just for the panache, just for the headline. And now ever since then, the women's tag team division and the whole women's division as a whole, has been complete shit ever since Ronda Rousey has left. Becky Lynch should be being booked as a champion. She should be defending her championship. She should be fighting all comers for the championship in one-on-one contests, in establishing her legacy and making her career and her championship reign meaningful. But it's not, because we have to have Charlotte involved in everything. We don't have anything for the tag team champions to do, because we don't book our tag teams, even for the men or the women, as if they're actual tag team champions. There's no competition for anybody anywhere. So they have to come up with something interesting. And what's the most interesting thing Vince can come up with? Let's get Charlotte in there. Even though it doesn't make sense, because Charlotte and Becky haven't been friends in over a year. They haven't made up. Charlotte Flair is still technically not a babyface. Becky Lynch is still the man. And why? Why do we have to see this tag team matchup at TLC? Just so that they can say, first time ever for the women, a TLC match for the... I don't need it. I don't need it. And you want to make it seem bigger and more grandiose by having the women's champion of Monday Night Raw in there, and the queen, the heir apparent to the history of women's wrestling. I don't understand it. It's unnecessary, and it doesn't really make sense. You would have been much better suited letting Kairi Sane and Asuka do their own thing, establish a women's tag team division before you have tag team champions. I know we're past that point, but at this point, just retire those belts, because you don't have girls. You don't have teams. There's no need for tag team champions for the women, or for the men at that matter. Another big thing that I hated tonight, another moment that we could say gets a poop hammer for this, is the way that they decided to use the Street Profits tonight. This was unforgivable. Unforgivable. You got nothing for the Viking Raiders to do on a weekly basis, because you have no established tag teams. But here you have a new, fresh, popular, hot tag team in the Street Profits. They decide to answer the Open Challenge. Open Challenge is just a synonym nowadays for WWE doesn't know what the fuck to do, so they're just going to throw something random at you and hope that it doesn't do too much damage to their future plans. Street Profits come out. Gonna get their first World Tag Team Championship matchup on Monday Night Raw. Gonna go up against the Viking Raiders. And what do we get? A glorified squash match. We got Montez Ford going a million miles an hour because the guy's only got 5 minutes to get all his stuff in. How are you going to put the Street Profits in a 5-minute Tag Team Championship match? Was it even 5 minutes long? Didn't actually feel it. And I understand the dominance that you've been trying to build with the Viking Raiders, but essentially you booked the Street Profits the same way you booked the two jerk-offs that dressed up like the Chicago Cubs, and the other two jerk-offs that dressed up in the other suit, and the other two jerk-offs that dressed up in the other costumes. And all of those guys were nothing but jokes, jobbers, squashed by the Viking Raiders. And tonight, it might have took a little bit longer to get there, and they might have did some impressive offensive maneuvers, but the Street Profits, in my opinion, were squashed tonight, and it's unforgivable. If you weren't going to let them win the tag team championships, then there are other ways to go about having them lose without actually having them lose, preserving their integrity, making them keep their momentum. WWE don't care about any of that anymore. None of that is present on this show. Booking matches less than 5 minutes long gets no one over. No one. Unless that particular character calls for that kind of a booking, like a Brock Lesnar or a Braun Strowman. Otherwise, there is not enough time for the fans to latch on to anything that they're seeing. Not everybody's an Alistair Black that can hook people with a finishing move like the Black Mass. Not everybody has that. So when you have Buddy Murphy out there with a Zack Ryder and it's over in 3 minutes, do you think anybody even ingested that? Do you think they watched long enough to give a shit? And what are they going to remember about it? Nothing. Nothing. Alistair Black and Akira Tozawa happened so quickly. It was entertaining for the 3 minutes, but can you imagine if that was a 10-minute matchup? The story those two guys would have been able to tell? Once again, much like with the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits in this situation, Alistair Black versus Akira Tozawa, and Tozawa taking that loss there makes him as equal to the WWE in value as they see a Zack Ryder or any other random weekly jobber that they just threw out there to be a victim to Alistair Black in less than 3 minutes. In 3 minutes or less. And then on that note, just a little funny thing that I noticed, not that I'm putting too much into it, but it's a minor criticism we have to throw out there. Alistair Black, upon his splitting up with Ricochet after coming to the main roster, has done nothing but beg people to come knock on his door and pick a fight. And now here we had Buddy Murphy a few weeks back knock on his door to pick this fight that he's been asking for, and ever since then, Alistair Black has been booked in match after match after match against anybody but the guy who actually knocked on his door. And I understand maybe they're trying to build the momentum and build the suspense. But for his character, that doesn't seem to make sense. The guy's sitting there, literally frothing at the mouth, spitting at the camera, getting all hyperventilated. I need somebody to pick a fight. Somebody please fight me. Pick a fight with me. Now somebody does, and where is all that? You're not going after this guy with everything that you got. You don't want to tear his head off. He picked a fight with you. He gave you everything you wanted. When Cesaro came and knocked on the door, the very next thing we saw was Alistair Black versus Cesaro. Is this match that important that it needed it to happen at TLC, that we couldn't have had something happen between the two? You could have at least booked the match and then have it not have a finish. Make them go to a no contest. Let them get double counted out. These are techniques in the world of booking professional wrestling that allows you to maintain the momentum of a feud or build intrigue or do other things to get the fans invested. Instead of watching Alistair Black get a token win and then Buddy Murphy get a token win over two people that are equally as unimpressive, is there anything booked about Zack Ryder? Or has there been anything booked about Akira Tozawa that makes you feel like Black and Murphy, respectively, getting wins on this night over those two guys really elevated them? Does the WWE care about wins all of a sudden because AEW does? Certainly not keeping score, but is that what it is? Oh, well, now we'll make it look like wins matter. So we'll have these two guys on a concurrent winning streak to see who's going to... That's not what this is about. This isn't about seeing who the better man is by way of beating other people. This was a man knocking on a door, challenging for a fight, and that challenge has not yet been answered, even though that guy's been itching. Alistair Black's been itching like a fiend, looking for a crack pipe, for a fight. And then he's got it. Think a crackhead's not going to smoke his crack rock? He's going to go right for it. It's a terrible analogy, but that's the best way I can explain it to you. That's how I've seen it. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It makes about as much sense as all of the promos we've seen tonight. A lot of them made no sense. The Kabuki Warriors go out there, they start speaking in Japanese. You got the AOP speaking in their native tongue. You got a confrontation between Humberto Carrillo and Andrade Cien Almas, which I don't know why it's even happening, because the whole argument happened in Spanish, and my Spanish is very basic at best, and I could pick out a couple of words here and there, like first and... I don't even remember now, but I remember, it's like, okay, I could maybe pick out this word and that word, but I don't know what they're fighting over. Did Humberto Carrillo get at Zelina Vega? Did that piss off Andrade Cien Almas? Does Zelina Vega want to employ him and bring him into the fold? Is Andrade Cien Almas just mad that he's another Latino wrestler on the card? Is he pissed off that he knows WWE is going to take the Latin guy and put him across the ring from him, because that's all that they do at Andrade? We've seen him against Sin Cara on multiple occasions. We've seen him against Rey Mysterio, every single member of the Lucha House Party. I'm surprised they haven't found a way to have him fight the Lucha Brothers and to have him also fight Sammy Guevara at some point. If you're a Latino and you're in the WWE, you're going to be fighting Andrade. No Way Jose is probably next, because they don't know what else to do with him. But that whole encounter made no sense. And then you have Humberto Carrillo getting a win over Andrade in the one match on this night that was actually very good. But now they told a story that I don't want them to tell. Humberto Carrillo has been losing. He hasn't been gaining favor with the fans. He's definitely not anywhere near over. Andrade's not as over as he used to be, but he's still like simmering at the top. He was starting to get some wins. He's putting together some impressive performances. And you give the win to Humberto. And not only do you do that, but now you've planted the seed for the breakup of Zelina Vega and Andrade, because Zelina Vega got involved, distracted, went to go distract Humberto, ended up colliding with Andrade as he was bouncing off the ropes, which led to the flash pinfall for the win. And that's not a story I need told. I don't need Andrade without Zelina. Who's going to speak for him then? They're a perfect match. There's nothing wrong with it. And this is typical WWE, man. They see something, right, and for some reason they don't like it. So they're going to change it, even though there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, just like they did with stuff like Rusev Day, just like they've done with multiple other things that we've enjoyed. And they've turned and changed them for the worse, instead of focusing on the obvious issues with the show, like the pacing, and the timing, and the too much talking, and the 3 to 4 minute wrestling matches. This show was so off the rails that they couldn't even get it wrapped up in time to go off air on time. And don't you dare come at me and blame the botch of AJ Styles and the Styles Clash. That first very obvious botch that definitely probably put them back a couple of seconds had nothing to do with the fact that they went off at such an abrupt time and didn't get to the end of the show in proper time. That was because the WWE wanted to talk us to death tonight. How many of those segments went long? Took away from the other matches? Took away from the main event? Not that I was that invested in Rey Mysterio versus AJ Styles again. You're supposed to be building all these other stories. AJ Styles and Randy Orton didn't have time to even happen at the end of this show. Randy Orton got involved for a millisecond, didn't get to hit the RKO, but gave enough of a distraction for Rey Mysterio to beat AJ Styles and retain the United States Championship. And then Raw went off the air, like that. Boom! Before the ring announcer could even announce Rey Mysterio as the winner, the show went off the air. You gonna tell me this was a good show? You gonna tell me they had their shit together? You can't have one decent match and the final turn of Seth Rollins and have me sit there and be gushing over this show. The only person that was any good on the mic all night long was, of course, Kevin Owens. Some of it was unnecessary, but it was classic Kevin Owens. And you're rooting for the guy. But man, they don't know what the hell they're doing. How do you not book him better than this? Now we're coming into TLC on Sunday. Obviously, there's going to be no Kevin Owens. The guy took a friggin' steel door to the head and then was curb stomped into the concrete. I doubt we're going to see Kevin Owens. And I'm not sure if Seth Rollins with the AOP is going to get over as much as everybody else is assuming. It was one of the things that I said would maybe be okay, and it actually might save the guy's career, but at the end of the day, when I was looking at it, I think maybe Seth might be too far gone to come back from. Go away heat is go away heat. Is Seth Rollins going to elevate the AOP? Or is he going to take them down? Is he going to burn it down for good? Only time will tell. Let's go over the official up and down. I think I got all of my venom out there. I went through my notes. This is pretty much everything that I had written down that we just needed to touch base upon before we run down this show. Lana and the Rusev divorce thing. Please, we don't need to go over all of it. It was the most cringeworthy bullshit segment that I have ever had to listen to. Lana just repeatedly screaming and saying things that make no sense. We lived through their history. We were watching it happen on TV. Like we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Lana is the best, Lana number one. But now Lana is saying that Rusev never made her feel important. Rusev never made her number one. He was always putting herself and putting Rusev Day before Lana. And when Rusev Day was at its height, one of the biggest chants that was going, one of the biggest things he kept trying to put over was Lana is the best, Lana number one. But I have to sit here and listen to this. She wants a divorce because he wanted sex too much, but now she's going to go have a whole bunch of sex with Bobby Lashley. Nothing that she said was worth repeating. Everything was terrible. They're arguing about the dog. She's arguing with him about all the different places he wanted to have sex. All I wanted them to do was sign that paper. Every single time they went to sign it, they would end up in some other verbal back and forth with each other that I just didn't care. Rusev looked ridiculous with a Donald Duck shirt on underneath his blazer. Lana sitting there with her boobs hanging out again, her skirt hiked all the way up to her minge. They finally signed the papers because Rusev wants a fight. He said he'll sign the papers as long as he gets to fight Bobby Lashley. Nobody wants this except for Rusev. Lashley comes out. Next thing you know, everything gets physical. The whole thing ends with Lashley being put through the table by Rusev while Lana is screaming on the outside, and that was about it. Charlie Caruso interviewing Kevin Owens in the back, asking if he figured out why AOP finally did attack him. Owens says yes, it's because Seth Rollins told him to. He already knows who's behind it. He's figured it out. He's the only one that wanted to stand up to Seth Rollins. He wanted to call bullshit on all of the bullshit Seth Rollins was spewing last week. And he barely escaped. He's lucky to have escaped. I wish we could have had some footage shot for that. Maybe a little bit of a deeper explanation. How did you escape? Escape from what? Did they have you in that truck? Did you jump out of the back? Did you get away by, struggling? Did they put a bag over your head? Like, what the fuck happened to Kevin Owens last week? And now he's just there this week. Here I am. I'm good. I don't got a bump or a bruise on my face. And I'm not going to tell you guys what happened, but all you guys need to know is that I got away. And that's why I'm here. I got away, and I'm going to get them bitches tonight. That's not literally what he said, but we're summing it up. And it was going to be bad news for them because Kevin Owens is hunting down AOP. This is when we see him walking through the back. He bumps into Rey Mysterio, who offers him some help. Kevin Owens kind of tells him, no thanks, dude. I appreciate it, but, I don't need help. This is my fight. I'm going to go and, take care of my business like a man. And then Rey Mysterio's like, you don't have to worry about any of that. I ain't trying to help you. I just want to give you my steel pipe because there's no way on your way to the back anywhere you're going to be able to find anything you can hold in your hands and use as a weapon. So you might as well take this since this steel pipe got over more than I did in my last feud. Wow, I didn't know where that came from. But hey, listen, truth is truth, right, you guys? Truth is truth. Drew McIntyre defeats Matt Hardy in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. This was a disgrace. I understand wanting to build up Drew McIntyre. But here you have Monday Night Raw actually putting on an interesting matchup that you didn't see coming. And there was a little bit of I wouldn't say a back and forth because Matt Hardy never replied verbally, which I thought was somewhat odd. They should have gave him a little bit of mic time to reply to the insults and stuff that Drew McIntyre were slewing his way. He's one of the few guys that you would actually want to listen to talk to because you don't know what kind of craziness is going to come out of his mouth, but let's not do anything interesting like that. Instead, we're going to have Drew McIntyre come out where he's going to squash a future Hall of Famer in 2 minutes. Because that's how we get people over, right? 2 minutes. You don't think you give Drew McIntyre or Matt Hardy 10, 15 minutes on a Monday Night Raw, they're going to put on a classic? This is Matt freaking Hardy. And Drew McIntyre is no slouch. These are two prime talents. Matt Hardy's got so much left to give. He's right up there with Dustin Runnels. And the guys that are doing it that actually can do it at their age, unlike some other guys. And you have him being defeated in under 2 minutes. If this does not lead to a continuing, losing streak for Matt Hardy, only allowing him to be rebroken once again and start all that, or maybe do it in a new and different way, not with the Woken thing, because that sailed. That ship sailed and it's over. Either go back to being broken, which is what everybody's wanted from the beginning, or maybe do something new. And Matt Hardy can definitely come up with something new that I'm sure every single one of us would get behind because the guy's that good, and he shouldn't be losing in 2 minutes to Drew McIntyre unless that's the end game. That's the only forgiving that I could see coming in the future for this. It's the only way I'm going to be forgiving of any of that. Charlotte Flair approaches Becky Lynch in the locker room. Becky Lynch was writing in a diary or writing notes, or maybe she was writing a divorce note of herself for Seth. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what she would be writing while she's sitting in the back in the locker room, but it's really not worth all of that much time because this segment was ridiculous. This is, again, them building up and trying to build suspense towards something you already know is going to happen. Much like Seth joining the AOP, Charlotte and Becky versus the Kabuki Warriors has been booked to death on the house show circuit. It's going to be part of the holiday tour right here in Madison Square Garden. What makes you not think for 1 minute that that's not where they're going with this whole thing? But of course they got to make it seem like there's drama. Becky's standing there with her little notebook. Charlotte comes right out and she's like, I don't like you. I don't like you. If I don't like somebody, I'm not going to them. I don't care how powerful they are. If I don't like you, you're not going to be my partner. And then Becky's like, well, I don't like you either. And yeah, I purposely did that, like the guy from Star Wars. Any of you Star Wars fans, you know where I don't like you either. Mos Eisley, Cantina. Who cares if you don't like each other? You shouldn't be a team. Shouldn't be anywhere near each other. Neither one of you should even be on the same show as each other. Your star powers can shine on their own, far away from the other one. In fact, that's what I think most people would want and most people would prefer. Because we've been just banged to death in our head with this Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch shit. And now it's an inevitability that the Kabuki Warriors at some point are going to lose to these two. And that's not something I think any of us want to see. So Charlotte was trying to offer her help to Becky Lynch in this 2-on-1 match, just like we seen last week in the opposite direction, but it just... Charlotte wished her luck because Becky was like, no thanks. And we move on. Kevin Owens walking around backstage asking people if they've seen AOP. Nobody apparently has. Nobody knows anything. And then he runs into Mojo Rawley. Mojo Rawley pulls the old Warner Brothers routine because once again we're 5 years old when we come up with the humor for this show. And it's like, oh no, they went this way. No, they went that way. Actually, they went this way. What is he, the fucking Scarecrow? Ridiculous. Kevin Owens knocked him out, punched him right in the mush. Mojo Rawley fell down, and then Kevin Owens said, you went that way. And then walked off. This was really worth the time on TV. This really got me really excited about what we were going to see the rest of the night for Kevin Owens. The reality of the situation being this was only put there to have this Sami Zayn segment happen, which still makes it just as mind-boggling as everything else that happened on tonight's show. The Viking Warrior Raiders defeated the Street Profits to retain the Raw Tag Team Championships in a match that, according to Wrestling Inc., which is where I'm reading the results right now, was 3 minutes and 11 seconds. That's what the Street Profits are worth? Oh no, but it's okay to have them come back later and act like a couple of clowns. And show you how the WWE continues to prove they are not creative because instead of doing something new and different, they knocked off the SNL segment, The Weekend Update. Literally knocked it off. 100%. Street Profits sitting there all dressed up like the SNL news anchors. The whole desk and the whole nine. They did a whole skit trying to build up the TLC card. Maybe those 5 minutes doing that unnecessary bullshit should have been added to this matchup. Because that's what the people want to see from Street Profits, not them acting like a couple of jackasses. Telling really corny jokes written by Vince McMahon and his friends. I want to see them out there beating ass, getting the smoke, getting some championships. Drinking red sippy cups. Not sitting there pretending to be fucking Dennis Miller. Or Tina Fey. Fuck out of here. After the break, we had the announcement that Dave Bautista is coming to the Hall of Fame in the year 2020. They also announced the NWO is going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame in the year 2020. And does anybody still care about the Hall of Fame in the year 2020? I'm happy for Dave Bautista. But the NWO induction is just fucking ridiculous. Didn't Hall and Nash and them just all get in just like a year ago? And then last year we had all of DX. It's just like they're all servicing themselves. Hogan's going to get in for a second time now. Why? Because Flair's in there twice. Hogan's got to be in there twice. It's all unnecessary pomp and circumstance. And I don't understand why we're talking about it before 2020 even comes. This is what you announce after the new year. On the way to the Royal Rumble as we're building towards WrestleMania. Not right before TLC. We're still in 2019. We shouldn't be talking about this until we hit 2020. Dave Bautista, a fantastic choice. NWO, of course they got to go in. But I just feel like the timing of it, it just shows you that the WWE's running out of guys to put into the Hall of Fame that have enough of a drawing power. Back in the beginning of the Hall of Fame, they didn't care about this shit. They gave it to people that deserved to be in the Hall of Fame because it didn't matter if it was going to draw an arena. But now they put it in the arena, they got to get fans, they got to sell tickets, so they got to make it feel Hollywood. All right, so we got another Hollywood star going in. The Rock's going to be next. It's all pomp and circumstance. After this, this is all just at the end of the first hour. The second hour begins with Seth Rollins warning Kevin Owens that AOP were about to come down there and kick his ass. He has nothing to do with him. Owens was in the ring when all this was happening. AOP appeared on the big screen. They spoke in their native tongue. Kevin Owens then said, "Oh yeah, you guys made great points. I'll be happy to debate that with you guys," making me laugh a little bit. Got a little bit of a laugh from the crowd as well because he was thinking exactly what I'm thinking, which is, what the hell are you guys even saying? Can't respond to any of that. Sami Zayn's music comes on. He comes out with Mojo Rawley, talking about how he's a liberator more than a manager. He says, "I signed a manager's clause, but you know I'm not a manager." What? Who writes this? He literally said, "I applied for a manager's license, which I got, but you know I'm not a manager. I'm a liberator. I'm a this, I'm a that. You're a bore. That's what you are, Sami Zayn. If you're not wrestling in the ring, I don't want to see you. You're mildly entertaining with Shinsuke. Other than that, go away. There's no reason for him on Monday Night Raw tonight. None. Zero. Not because he was Kevin Owens' best friend. Not because Mojo Rawley needed liberation. There's no reason for it. Just another reason for the WWE to go outside and change up shit just on the fly. Oh, well, he's on SmackDown. Oh, who cares? We'll just bring him to Raw. We'll just say it's a manager's clause or some shit. Like Paul Heyman's got. How long until Roman Reigns gets one? Oh, well, he got the big dog clause. Since he's the big dog, he can work both shows. It's a matter of time. Awful. This whole thing was awful. Mojo Rawley starts yelling at Kevin Owens. Sami Zayn tried to calm him down because Kevin Owens had that look on his face and he had the steel pipe in his hand, and you don't want to act tough in front of somebody that's got a pipe in their hands. And Mojo Rawley ended up eating a stunner for his trouble, and it was all a waste of time. We come back from the break after this segment. Owens was shown walking through the back, still searching for the Authors of Pain, to no success. Alistair Black versus Buddy Murphy was announced for TLC earlier today. Buddy Murphy cut a promo claiming he was better than Alistair Black and is going to prove it on Sunday. Very standard, very basic. Nothing that made him stand out. Nothing that made you remember what Buddy Murphy said. Oh, yeah, it's Buddy Murphy. Great. He said some shit. He's going to fight Alistair Black. Let's see what happens when we get there. We got the obligatory CM Punk mention in there because he's going to be back on Backstage tomorrow. And has anybody watched it? Because I haven't. I love CM Punk. I still haven't watched it. I don't care. Alistair Black defeats Akira Tozawa in 3 minutes and 34 seconds. This was awfully short, but this was entertaining. This was just another case of the WWE not giving their guys time. We sat there listening to so much bullshit. We just sat there listening to Sami Zayn go on and on and on for a solid 10, 15 minutes in a useless segment that did nothing for nobody, and you could have had a much better match. If they were able to do as good as they did in 3 minutes, imagine what they could have done with 10. We go back to the back. Charlie Caruso talked about the great rookie of the year. Now, I know this is WWE jargon, and I know she's reading from a script, but on what planet is Humberto Carrillo the rookie of the year? What has he done? First of all, he's only been here since the draft, which was, 6 weeks ago? He's been on the main roster for 6 weeks. He's the rookie of the year. No. He's going to be a big face in the 2020s. If you like dimples, that's a great thing. If you don't like dimples and you hate his bland demeanor and the fact that they don't let him get a fucking word out and that he's always fighting other Latino wrestlers and they have verbal altercations in Spanish, then he's right down your aisle. Otherwise, this was ridiculous. Before he could say anything, he stopped and was like, well, ladies first. And Zelina Vega came in, and before she could even say anything, Andrade just got up in his face, started barking at him in Spanish. Who the hell knows? Apparently they agreed to fight tonight, and Zelina Vega was like, tonight? Apparently that's what I got from it. Like when she said tonight, I'm like, oh, I guess they're going to be fighting tonight. Charlie Caruso needs an interpreter. She needs a translator in the back that could speak multiple languages, so at least when the smoke clears and everybody walks away, she can say, what the hell just happened here, Mr. Translator guy? Bring Sami Zayn for that. Does he speak all these other languages? I'm sure he's multilingual. If you're going to have him on Monday Night Raw, at least let him do double duty. You could manage Mojo Rawley, but be the interpreter, because nobody knows what the fuck anybody is saying around here anymore. They aired a promo for the return of Liv Morgan. The makeover is coming soon. And I don't care. I'll care when she shows up. And we'll take a look at her. We'll take a look at this makeover. And we'll tell you what we think. And if the hammer has to come down on poor Liv Morgan once again, then that's the way it has to be. Of everything she could possibly do in this makeover, the one thing I ask Liv Morgan to do, I don't care if you goth up your makeup, shave your fucking head bald, come out wearing a piece of candy floss, I don't care what your gimmick is, just stop with the blue tongue. Okay? I think that's a reasonable request. You're not George the Animal Steel, you look like you got trench mouth, just stop it. You want people to take you seriously? You want to be looked at as a threat? Don't be walking around with a blue tongue unless you're going to be splitting out blue mist, which you can't do because the mist thing is taken now. Humberto Carrillo defeats Andrade with Zelina Vega in an 11-minute long matchup, which was a very entertaining, very athletic, and the best matchup of the night as far as wrestling quality is concerned. But we talked about what I didn't like being how they ended this thing. Carrillo gets the win thanks to a miscommunication between Andrade and his manager, Zelina Vega. And now we are on this weird path where Zelina Vega and Andrade were fighting at the end of the match. Andrade was pissed. He's blaming Zelina for the loss. And it looks like they're going to separate a team that does not need to be separated. But we'll have to see. Rey Mysterio in the back, because we have to have more people talking on a night that's supposed to be about pro wrestling. Talking about how the U.S. title means everything to him. It was the destination of a journey that began when he lost his confidence, and that the giant baby man, Dominic, his son, reminded him that he's not just a tiny dad, that he's a champion tiny dad, and he was going to continue on this road to showing the world what the word Mysterio means. Did it get you hype? Did you care? I mean, if you're a Rey Mysterio fan, I'm sure you were like, oh yeah, arriba la raza. But if you don't really care much, it's just more of the same that we got from Monday Night Raw tonight. Finally, somebody spoke up to Kevin Owens, and a stagehand in the back let Kevin Owens know that the AOP, he just kind of seen them headed towards their van. Why this had to take so long to happen, I don't know. Buddy Murphy defeats Zack Ryder in 2 minutes. Next, backstage, Kevin Owens found the van, smashed it up with the pipe. Kind of smashed it up. I guess he broke a window. We didn't really see all but one window really get shattered. He was kind of scratching at it with the edge of the pipe. Which is why you needed one of these, bro. You know, the big jumbo versions, not the little handheld one like I got. Get yourself a Triple H style sledgehammer and go to town. Make it look like you're really mad or something. Not just take Ray's little hollow pipe and dent it up a little bit. It's my biggest complaint about the whole thing, aside from the fact that after they slammed the van door against Kevin Owens' head, which we've already talked about all of this already, AOP jacked him up in the back once he investigated the van. They smashed his head into the van door, which looked like it really did hit him. Like it looked like it was legit. And he may have gone a little fuzzy after that. And after that, the doors opened up. Seth Rollins is revealed. The world is amazed. No one knew this was coming. It's come to this, Kevin. He says it's a shame. And then he says, I'm sorry. He curb stomps him into the concrete floor. And then they left. He comes back out to the stage. He gives his little I hate the fans speech. I did everything I could for you and you still turned against me and I'm trying to figure out why. And then he said he went and joined the AOP. Said I didn't have anything to do with what they did to Kevin Owens. I didn't have anything to do with anything that they do at all. But since everybody thinks that I did, I'm just going to do it. So I'm going to go and join them, even though they've already started this whole plan that they have without me. And if at some point this still ends up being the brainchild of Shane McMahon, everybody get your towels ready. Because it's not going to be for the tears that are going to fall from our face from having to see Shano again. It's going to be from the sweat that you're going to have to wipe from your television sets. The 2-on-1 handicap match for the Raw, not for any championship matchup. The 2-on-1 handicap matchup featuring the Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch, who defeated Kairi Sane and Asuka. Charlotte lost, but the champ has to win because you can't have your women's champion losing. You can't have your women's tag team champions taking a pinfall or a submission. So you went with the obvious disqualification ending. And it was all led to nothing. Charlotte didn't come out to help or anything like that. Becky Lynch was brought to the back. She's getting iced up. Then Charlotte wants to come in and talk some more shit to her, ask her if she was okay and this and that. Charlotte ends up getting jumped by the Kabuki Warriors in the back. And then they go back to Charlotte and Becky again. And they have to talk to each other. Oh, did you hear that they challenged us? Let's talk about that for a second. I almost forgot about that. The Kabuki Warriors challenged the challengers to come challenge them for their championships. That's exactly what happened. Asuka said, we challenge you to challenge us for our championships. Now, they're the heels in this situation. A heel is an evil person, in case you didn't know. They're a weaselly, slimy person, and they're not going to be looking to defend their championships. That's a babyface thing. So they openly gave them this championship matchup. We challenge you to challenge us. What? So then we get to Eric Rowan. Oh, we had a promo by the OC, which is very, very skippable. They announced the NWO being in the Hall of Fame. Then we get Eric Rowan defeating a jobber in 1 minute and 20 seconds. The jobber decides to grab the box and run. He grabbed Eric Rowan's little box. He didn't take the thing off. He thought he was going to outsmart the big doofus and end up getting a count-out victory. It did not work. And this jobber, who didn't even have a name, got squashed by Eric Rowan, a former multiple-time tag team champion, a guy that has been in this company for years and should not be wrestling nobodies. Rey Mysterio, in the main event, defeats AJ Styles to retain the United States Championship. This match went for the rest of the episode, which by the time it started left them 15 minutes for this matchup in total. These guys have decent chemistry, but I just feel like they were both kind of phoning it in. Maybe they were feeling the pressures of being under a strict time regimen, having to be able to get to the finish before we had to go off the air, which was almost missed, and it almost did not happen. This just barely finished in time. They had the little WWE logo show up at the bottom right before the 3 count. Like, I thought we were going to go off the air before we even had a finale. So that means as soon as Rey Mysterio pulled that little crucifix roll-up out of his back pocket, you knew this was the end of the match. Randy Orton's involvement meant nothing more than just a minor distraction to AJ Styles. The show ends not with the champion celebrating, not with a disappointed AJ Styles, but with a Randy Orton walking away, telling AJ Styles he was this close to hitting an RKO. And then we abruptly went to black, and Modern Family began to play. And I wanted to sit there and watch because I needed something to make me laugh after the abysmal 3 hours that I just sat through. And I gave you guys in this episode all of the reasons why you should understand that there are many things wrong with this show, and that is why I am here. If you sat there and loved this show and you thought this was the best WWE show of the year, and oh, Seth Rollins is fixed now, well, you better think again. And if you need any more proof of that, we will be here every single week to tell you exactly why. You don't have to agree with it. I'm not about being a dictator. It's not about you have to agree with what I'm saying. You are free to feel whatever you want on this channel as long as you say it with a little bit of respect and courtesy in your voice. So I open up the comments section to you guys. This was a long one. I had a lot to say about this episode. We have been going to about an hour on Monday Night Raw because it's just been absolutely that terrible. And there's no way to go over 3 hours of one show and not approach almost 1 hour in the review. So I apologize for it getting a little bit lengthy, and I appreciate every single one of you that got down to this 56-minute mark. And if you haven't already, smash that like button if I made you laugh, if I made you cry, if I made you understand why this friggin' show sucks balls, then you hit that thumbs up right now. And then share this video with each and every one of your wrestling buddies all over the wrestling world, especially if they may be a little bit too hype about Seth Rollins finally turning heel tonight, because he hasn't been heel for the last few weeks, people. Everybody automatically, oh, Seth Rollins is a heel. No. Now he's a heel. Let's see where it goes. We're still probably going to have to shit on it when we need to. Hopefully not. All I want is for this show to get better. But apparently they don't. They just want to see who can be worse. And now it's become an intercompany competition. It's Raw versus SmackDown. Who sucks more? On a weekly basis. Maybe that's an idea for a show in the future. If I ever have enough time to put more fucking shows on the channel. I'm already doing way too much, and it's absolutely insane. But I thank you guys for being here with me. Each and every one of you guys putting me way up over the 2,000 subscriber mark as we continue to march to take over the entirety of YouTube and the wrestling community, one sub at a time, and it starts with you. So hit that subscribe button if you had a good time tonight and that you want to come back for more, and so that you don't miss a single thing. Make sure that you are notified on your desktop, on your phones. Hit those notification bells so that every time an awesome video like this one goes up, you will not be left out in the cold like it is right now here in New York City, freezing my bananas off. Bananas? Should only be one banana. Never mind. It's fucking late. I'm tired as usually with Monday Night Raw. My brain turns into mush. It takes me a while to reset it to get back here with you guys. And once again, thank you all so much for being with me through this journey. We are getting set for the year 2020. I got a couple of shows that I'm trying to put out. I hope to get them out to you guys before the end of the year. If not, we will still be here with your review shows every single week until we say goodbye to the year 2019 and finally say goodbye to this dreadful year of wrestling. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the team. Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue, the Snowball. The most important member of the team, as always, is each and every one of you. Don't forget to check out everything else on the channel, including the AEW review, SmackDown review, and all of the pay-per-views from last month. Everything is there for your viewing pleasure. Check it out. Like, share, and subscribe on everything. And that, my friends, is going to do it. And don't forget, still available, your Poop Hammer t-shirt, your Sledgehammer TV t-shirt, bonfire.com/store/sledgehammer-tv. They will be available through the holiday season until the end of the year. Pick yours up today, and thank you to everybody who already has purchased one. You guys are freaking awesome, and I love you guys so much. And I know that I'm not very good at I get so involved with the review that I always forget to do that at the beginning of the show, but thank you for indulging me now. I gotta get my shit together, man. That's gonna do it, and we are out of here, and we will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com. Good night, y'all.